you get the name Auntie.
That's how you got the name.
That's true.
When they proposed the name Ritch Auntie, I'm going to tell you, I was like, I ain't nobody fucking auntie. I got my nieces and nephews, but I don't want to be nobody auntie. But at the end of the day, if you think about the younger women that surround you, that you've mentored.
I believe that. Through God, I really believe that.
All right, y'all. Thank you for coming back with the Ritch Auntie Podcast. Thank you for following, and sharing. Got my homegirl Katrina here, and it is Sunday Fun Day. What's up? What's going on a Sunday, Trina? Tell me.
God. Let me tell you. First of all, Delcy, these knees are starting to, these knees are really starting to.
You ain't got Meg Thee Stallion knees?
Oh, my God. And just to let everybody know, I had mentioned earlier, and, when we started flying this plane, our podcast, that I said, Delcy, why don't we do the, Meg Stallion competition knees, bending, because, we're at our 50s, we're mature aunties. Let's do it and show them that we still got it. She was like, oh, no, Trina, I'm not doing it. And I'm like, well, I can do it. But I'm telling you now, I can't.
You can't.
Delcy, I don't know what happened. It has to be my stairs at home.
Oh,
it has to be the stairs
going
at home
up and down?
Yeah, it has to be. So I'm thinking, what do you think? Do you think I should start exercising more?
You probably need to stretch. Do you stretch in the morning?
I have been doing that.
You have. Because you can stretch in the bed. When you get out the bed, I think stretching is very important first thing in the morning.
I agree.
And I do that. When I get up, even before I work out, I make sure I get at least about a 15 to 20 minute stretch in first.
Okay.
Before I start. Because, like you said, as you mature and get older, you want to make sure everything is moving accordingly. Correct. And if you're having pain, you need to be icing that.
I do, but then I'm going to start.
Is it swollen?
No, it's not swollen. It's just started this morning, though. Well, it may be because, look. It may possibly be slow.
Yeah, a little bit. The kneecap.
I'm gonna have to.
Put some ice on it.
I'm gonna check it out.
See if that helps a little bit.
So women, people, guys, start taking care of your bodies. It's so important.
It is important.
It's so important.
As you mature, Trina, let's go back to last week, because I want to say that after watching the podcast, because we do go back and watch the podcast after we actually film, and I felt like, when we were talking about the domestic violence issue, the guy, I think we were laughing at the video. We weren't laughing at the situation, but I felt like maybe somebody might have took that the wrong way, or...
You mean with the girl when she had the gun?
Yeah, when we were talking about it, we kind of laughed a little bit. We didn't know he was sitting on the bed, that he was scared. And I think we didn't, I don't want nobody to think that we're not serious in the topics that we bring to you, because we are. And domestic violence is not anything to be joking around about. No, and I think we were just laughing at the situation because everybody else was like, you don't know who she's talking to. And we just brought that up. But I just wanted to, re-emphasize that domestic violence, is very important. It's not a laughing matter. We wasn't laughing at that situation.
Right.
Just the fact that, it was just, I don't know if we were just weirded out by it. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't even remember us laughing about it. If we did, we probably were laughing because we were thinking, that's kind of a trip. This really happened, and he was really scared. Yeah. You could see he was scared. Yeah. But I agree with you. Domestic violence is serious, and that's
not a laughing matter.
And it even goes back to the cheating, what we talked about last week, the women versus men cheating. I had some comments about that. Men were saying that, women, what do we mean? We cheat better, and we cheat. Women do cheat too. And we weren't even trying to say that women cheat.
Don't cheat. We weren't saying women don't cheat.
Exactly. Or cheat, can't out. We were just saying that when it comes to cheating, if a woman is going to cheat, then she's probably going to do a better job at cheating than the guy. And only because the statistics have proven. I have a salon. I did a census at the salon. Of course, it was all women. So men, let's open the door up for men. You guys tell us what you think, because I did talk to a couple of men too that are in my family and in my surroundings. And I had a couple of them that, felt a certain kind of way. But then there were some that say, men can do dumb things. So, I mean, if you really are a man that's focused and serious about your relationship, and that's the person you want to be with or spend the rest of your life with, then it shouldn't be a real issue when it comes to cheating. You know what I'm saying?
You shouldn't be cheating.
Be an issue, period. Exactly.
If you're going to cheat, you might as well just give them the opportunity. Be transparent. So you're giving the person that you're with the opportunity to make a choice whether or not they want to deal with you, or the fact that, you know, maybe it's time for them to move on because you're not being faithful.
I know. And what I thought was interesting, though, is that when I asked the women in the salon, all the women in the salon said the same thing. They were like, men just won't be open and say.
Absolutely.
And I
No
thought that was really
transparency.
interesting because you said that last week as well, that men won't come out and say, hey, this isn't working, or, you know, I don't want
And
it.
I just don't, fellas, just humor me for a minute, because I don't get it. Like, why not be I think you can get more cookies with being transparent. Like, why
totally
is it
agree.
that you don't tell the truth? Like, why is it that you won't tell a woman that you have multiple women? Is it because you don't want to lose that woman? You know, the woman that you're lying to, like, what is the reason? I want to know. Like, don't you want to know?
I mean, I've asked in relationships, you know, being a mature auntie, you know, we had relationships and, you know, marriages. And so I've asked from a male's perspective. And what I've often heard is that, you know, one won't do what another one will do. You know what I'm saying? So maybe and then men, I've heard that men just sometimes they just want the release. It's not about emotions and feelings as with us women. It's about emotions and feelings. Men is more. I mean, let's ask our producer over here, who happens to be a man.
Yeah. What do you think?
What would you say?
Why do men? I mean, not why do they cheat, but why are they not honest about cheating? Like, if you
Do you
have
think
two
women or
women,
men cheat better?
do you like? Do you tell or do you not tell?
Women definitely cheat better because men are a little messier with it, but it's also because we don't care and we just fall into it. It's never like no planned.
With that,
Is that what it is?
I can
Oh
see
my
that.
God.
Because you're talking about male, female.
So you just start messing with two women and just be like,
Well, like
okie
he said,
dokie.
it don't happen.
Okie dokie. We just gonna do this.
And men, think about that. That's a very
Don't
good
think it through,
point.
though.
That's a very
We
good
do
point.
think it through, like,
because
if I do this,
men are
what's
from
gonna
Venus and women
happen?
are from Mars.
Yeah.
They say that. That's
Yep.
a good point. Thank you.
I think
Thank
we're
you.
more thinking of our family dynamics. This can
Yeah.
ruin our family.
Yes. Yes.
This can ruin our relationship.
Yes.
I mean, that's the first thing I think about. I
Yes.
mean, not saying that women, we're not enticed by cheating,
Mm-hmm.
because men, just like you, we might see another man that look better than you.
Mm-hmm.
We might see another man that we like their character better than
Better.
yours. Their personality is better.
Mm-hmm.
The sex might be better, but we still gonna make a conscious decision to say, I'm going to keep my family versus this guy over here is great. The sex is amazing, but I'm not going to leave my family. See, that's how women think.
I know. But think about this now for men, which goes to the topic of the male versus female alpha personalities.
Right.
You know, like being in a relationship. What do you think about being in a relationship with a woman that has a strong personality, alpha female, versus a man? Most men are, of course, going to be men. And I've heard from women of maturity, wisdom, wise ladies have said, you know, always, and this is the truth. I've heard this. They say you have to always let a man be a man.
Nah, baby, you ain't
So-
gonna be a man with me. What does
That's-
that mean?
well,
Letting
that's-
them cheat?
well, hold
Well, they
on.
say that's why back in the day, like, I'm gonna say our mother's eras, or maybe more your mother, because I think my mother was probably a lot younger. But back then, women would put up with it. They knew the husbands had a mistress, and they was okay with him having a mistress. Okay, if you want to do that. That's why they got these polygamy relationships where they have two wives. The man has two wives or three wives or four wives, and he's the only man. Well, why it can't be one woman and two men and three men and four men?
I mean, and that's what.
Because hell, we
come into
all
the
helping
topic
each
of-
other grow.
Exactly. So
Hey, why
Well,
we can't?
You know what?
Why we can't,
Honestly,
Trina?
Delcy,
Why?
I don't know why. Because if you have to ask me, honestly,
Because they talking about, well, when you have two wives, it builds a better foundation.
people are starting to do that now, though. People
Oh,
are
I
starting
know.
to. I saw something on Instagram the other day where a woman had two husbands.
I seen that too.
Yeah, so people are definitely starting. Of course, we're in 2023 where anything goes. So
Let me tell you, I've
everything
had
is
somebody ask
happening.
me that.
What?
I dated this little dude for a minute, And then a couple of years later, he came back and he was living with a woman. And he asked me, he was like, have you ever thought about being in a polygamous relationship? Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, no, I don't share. Mm-hmm. Like, nah. Because you ain't going to be with her on Monday, me on Tuesday, back with her on Wednesday, back with me. No, we ain't doing that. And he was like, well, it doesn't work like that. It's really building a foundation of, he was like, financial foundation that's strong and that we're all, cohesive together. We have money and we can build and create growth. And I got that part. That made sense. Mm-hmm. But I was like, you're still sharing your spouse. You're still like, who are you going to be married to me? Are you going to be married to me or are you going to be married to her? Like, no.
I don't know. You know
I
what?
don't know. I told him no. I was like, I can't.
Yeah,
you know who you are out there because I know you be watching. But I'm telling you,
knowing
no.
what you said exactly what it was. I told him no. That was your choice, and I think that is each person's individual choice. If you are going to cheat, and you have a problem with being committed to one person, that maybe you can find a woman or a man, vice versa, that is willing to be with you, and you can go on and have a good life. Yeah, there's situations.
There's situations where women have issues with cancer and they can't have sex, or issues with their feminine.
So if they have that
situation,
understanding, I'm all for it. Yeah. Whatever makes you happy in this thing called life. But when we were talking about the alpha personalities with the female. So you was like, when I said, the women and the men back in, you was like, what are we supposed to do? So did that come out like you saying, if you're in a relationship with a man and he's the head, he has to be, when you said, how am I going to follow him or how am I going to submit to him if he doesn't know where he's going or what he's doing? How am I supposed to let him be the alpha male? I'm supposed to, I can do it. I'm independent.
Right.
I'm strong. I can take care of myself. I can take care of my family. But I have this man over here who's not doing that, who's weak. Are we supposed to submit to that? No. Are we supposed to, when it comes to the alpha male personalities, maybe that, did it appear like that in the video with the girl when she had the gun? Did she have an alpha personality?
Oh, yeah, she was definitely. But you know what? I think that behaviors in a relationship can cause you to become more masculine. I think the behaviors in a relationship. I've been in a relationship. Well, I feel like a relationship, your partner's behavior can cause your behavior to change. You mean? Because I feel like I was with somebody. Yeah, I think I was with a guy where I kind of took on his personality. Okay. And now people say to me a little bit sometimes like, damn, you're just mean. That's cold. Like, I think that it's kind of rubbed off on me a little bit. And it's made me where I'm not as green to certain situations where I was before. Okay. I was married for 17 years. So for me, coming out of a marriage and you're really green to dating and different men's personalities. I come from being married to a man that had character. You know what I'm saying? Maybe he wasn't the most faithful, but he had character. He took care of the family, that kind of thing. That's what I want in a man. Okay. I need an alpha man, and I need a man with character. Okay. Let me know that you're going to be able to be protective, that you are going to be able to handle, provide for the family, and pray too. Yeah, those 3 P's are important: prayer, protectiveness, and provide for the family. And I'm gonna be here to help you along the way. I want to build you up.
If you have an alpha personality, that's who men should not feel intimidated
by women. I think they are a lot of times.
Men should not feel intimidated because if I date you, I know I've been in relationships before, and because I have a strong personality. Guys have felt, I'd say intimidated because it's like, well, you're not going to do this.
Because you're not going to let them lead.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm trying to overtake the authority, because if you just say to me, hey, listen, I got this, or I didn't appreciate how you said that, or you're overstepping your boundaries, I know my place as a woman, how to, submit and step back and allow you to lead. Right. However, if you're, in that position and you're not doing that, then I know that I can. I think that you should look at me as a strong player on your team. We're working together because that's what it is in a relationship. It's not about who's the dominant role model or not, the male personality. It's not about that when you're in a relationship. That's me. That's my Ritch Auntie perspective. It's about whoever is good in their gifts or whatever they're doing together to build that team to take it to the next level or wherever it's going, with happiness, with joy, with health, with anything. So,
because they keep saying all this masculine, women got masculine energy. Women, what is up with that? Explain that to me. Like, how could you not? I think environmental situations, how you grew up. If you grew up in a single family household, you know, I didn't have a father in the picture. I watched my mother raise 5 men and myself. Yes, she was a little masculine, but she was very feminine. She was strong when it came to, I gotta pay these bills, these lights gotta be on, I got a brand new car. Like, you know what I'm saying? You gotta be tough. How do you expect us to be feminine? Now, can a man break down the masculinity? Can a man break down your masculinity? Of course he can. Through love, through protection, through nurturing a woman, through, you know,
being that strong man. Exactly. She doesn't have to take on that role. Exactly. You know, being that man to make her feel like she's okay. She doesn't have to always be on guard to make sure things are getting done. You know what I'm saying? That to me is our Ritch Auntie perspective.
Yeah.
What about let's get off that subject because
a lot of stuff come back on that subject. But it's not like dudes, we are not out here male bashing. I think that a lot of you see a 10-minute snippet of what our podcast is, like a little 10 second snippet, and y'all think it's the podcast. It's not. Please go over to YouTube or Spotify and subscribe and listen to the whole podcast before you start bashing us as women and saying this is the same perspective of every other woman. We can only bring you one perspective, and that's the woman perspective, right?
Well, it's our perspective, basically.
And our perspective, we are women. We have vaginas. Of course, you're going to hear a woman's perspective because we have motherfucking vaginas. At the end of the day, what do you want us to do? To come in here and give you a male's perspective? We don't know. That's why we asking the producer half the time, like, what you think? This and that. Yes, we're giving you a female's perspective. No, we're not the angry Latina or the angry black woman. I don't think we come from that era, period. You know what I'm saying? We've all had things that have happened in our lives that have shaped us as women. We may have to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more masculine. Okay, so you don't like that? I think it's up to the man that you're with. A man with character will break down a woman's masculinity. An alpha male with character, because you can be alpha all you want to be. That's just you being controlling and all that. But a man of character and of substance can definitely make a woman very feminine.
Yes, amen. Love, passion,
all of that.
Passion,
all of that. And there's some good men out here.
Yes, it is. Some amazing.
Hey, for the amazing fellas that y'all don't have a woman, be picky too. Yes. Women are picky. You guys should be picky about what you're getting. If you want a woman that cooks and cleans or doesn't work a job and she's home with you, you can have that. Yes. Just know what you want.
Know what you want.
And if that person that you're talking to, stop cheating. Yeah. If she don't meet
what you want and she's good to you.
And if the woman doesn't meet your needs, leave her alone and let her go. I don't care how good the sex is, because y'all stay in shit for sex. And at the end of the day, sex is sex. I say that all the time. Sex is sex. They say it's not. It's different with other people. I don't know, because I'm a woman, but I'm just telling you that if you are with somebody, and this goes both ways, if you are a woman with a man or a man with a woman, and that person is not meeting your expectations, just let them go, because they can meet someone else's expectations. Don't string them along. Don't cheat on them. When you're playing with people's hearts, you're playing with their emotions, and that's what makes them postal.
That's so true. I totally agree. And that's what's happening too. I hear a lot of that.
A lot of playing.
Like, and for example, the little boy, my mom sent me the clip, but it's been all over the internet, the news about the little boy that was found in the mouth of the alligator down in Florida. Sad. I mean, it was, they found his mom. She was dead at the apartment. They found the little boy in the mouth of the alligator, same as in the little boy, the situation with the little girl last week, where the boy went to Walmart. And so you're right. Playing with people's feelings and emotions are just not a good thing. Not in 2023. Because in 2023, anything goes. So don't even do it. Just, so much is happening
people's feelings
in the world, Delcy. It's so much happening in the world today that I went to get my teeth cleaned the other day, and the dental hygienist was telling me about how now in the world that they're starting to basically try to get us. They're talking about doing the palm pay, where you can have your palm to pay for stuff now.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they're trying to basically they're going back into the chip. They want to get chips put inside of us and different things.
I'm not doing none of that shit.
I know, but she was basically saying how the signs of time are coming, and she was saying that there's a river that's somewhere that's drying up. She said this river is supposedly a river that's supposed to flow, and I don't know if anyone's out there is into Christianity and know the history, but there's a river out there that she says that it's supposed to be a river that flowed a lot, and in the Bible it speaks of drying up. This river is starting to dry up. So
I've heard of that river.
With that being said, everything that's happening now in the world, it's not like we should take it for granted, because it's happening for a reason, which I feel is leading us up to doom if we don't really start getting it together, and paying attention to the signs of time, paying attention to what's going on, paying attention to what's going on with our bodies, with the United States of America, with other countries. Just start paying attention to things that even with what we're eating, how it's affecting our mental. All those things are things that we now have to start paying attention to, because this is stuff that's been going on for a very, very long time. And now that we have the internet, we have access to information, we see more that's going on out there. And which also, and Robert and I had a conversation about that. Yes, we have, we were talking about reparations for, blacks, and we were saying how, we've been held back, which is a topic that we all talk about all the time, whether we've been held back, not a lot, and this is as they owed us our, 2-3 scores and a mule, and they owe us, all of our back stuff from years. And Robert and I were saying that the thing about it, though, is that, yeah, all that is true, but we've been given access to the internet now. We have a whole world out there, and we're producing young men and women that are smart, that are, creative, that are, educated, they're becoming educated, as in the clip that we were looking at, for 400 years, we were in slavery. And during those 400 years, as we were talking about in Italy, with the Michelangelo back there, there were black people all the way back then, even up until this
just
time.
not acknowledging them.
Right. So it's like now
the
we're
history
at a place,
of it.
right, we're at a place as a race, as a people, that it's like it's become kind of conditional, or it's become kind of the norm for people to cheat, for people to just eat what they want to eat, for people to just do what they want to do to kill, for people to go around, stealing, for women to, have sex with animals, for men to have sex with baby children,
sex with animals.
Yes, all this kind of
stuff
is going on.
Yes,
all this stuff is going on in the world today. And that's what
true.
I'm saying, that, when you come to, life, period, as a people, we're never here to bash our black men. We're never here to bash you guys.
Definitely.
We're really just coming from our perspective. And me, waking up and starting to understand life and seeing what things are really, really all about. It makes me, going to Italy really awakened me into my thinking of life and the world and society and how things are done. It really awakened me, because
you're saying different culture. It's cultural. It's a cultural change. Yeah,
we're not there as a black race.
Right.
We're not there. Mm-hmm. And it's I like the clip I was showing you that today. We talked about, there was a gentleman, he was talking about to a little young girl. She asked him, what could we do in our era? She's probably about maybe 13, 14 years old. She said, what could we do in our era to learn from you guys in your era? This guy, he looked like he might have been in his maybe 40s, 50, whatever. And he said, well, young people need to start listening to the older generation. People. The older generation needs to start listening to the younger generation, because when you listen to when the young people listen to the older people, they get the wisdom. When the older people listen to the young people, they get what's going on in the now,
right?
And the future,
the technology, the
and
things
he said,
that
you
are
put
current.
that together, and then we learn together. We learn from each other, and then we all grow. He said that's culture, and that's true, because we're not, as a race, I don't think we're doing that. We're so used to as a race, black people. I feel Ritch Auntie perspective of always making sure that we're having to do what they say we're supposed to do.
Right.
Well, you got to pay your taxes, because if you don't pay your taxes, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, they take your house.
You got it right. You got to go over here and
Mm-hmm.
eat this, because if you don't eat this, that's too expensive. You can't afford that. This is what we got to eat. So you got to eat this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
This is what we grew up on. This is what you need to stay with. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
that's not true. There's all different type of things out there, all type of healthy foods that we could be eating, instead of all the stuff that we've been taught that we should eat. And so I think as a race, if anything, definitely not bashing our people. If anything, we're here. I want to just, kind of start educating and helping us as a race, as a people, to understand, to learn that there's a big world out there. You know what I'm saying? There's a big world out there from finances, learning finances, from learning how to educate our children on history, about our culture. What foods are good.
Right.
I have a son that deals with have a mental health disability. Teaching people with mental health disabilities how to eat
regulate your hormones,
all of that,
everything,
so
the electrolytes in your body, everything. That's it. It's important.
So important.
Let me tell you, if people don't understand. You always hear when people talk about working out, it's 80% is diet and 20% is working out. That's the same thing with with eating and feeding yourself. You're feeding your mind.
Yes.
You understand what I'm saying? So those foods that help you retain, memory, and short-term memory, long-term memory, all of that stuff is important. And we don't look at that. Mm-hmm. It was a guy I follow on Instagram. I forget his page, but he's like he's very holistic, and everything that he does is like berries and nuts, and even taking care of his plants and everything. It's just like you said, that's part of your mental awareness and your mental to feed your mentality as well as your body.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
It's very, very
matters.
important. Yeah, it matters a lot. And a lot of people don't consider that when they're making food choices. You got to make better choices. You know what I'm saying? So,
yes.
I agree with that, Trina. It's so true. Yeah. So what else we talking about? So you see Donald Trump got the what's up with that? He got indicted. So what does that mean when somebody's been indicted? Does that mean there's the potential that the arrest is coming?
Yeah. They're saying that they're going to arrest him. My Ritch Auntie perspective, I think that, they probably will arrest him, but his attorney will be on the other side of the room waiting for him to be unhandcuffed and taken out the door. Because this is my little theory of Donald Trump and all this stuff. Donald Trump is probably in with so many people, in high positions that there's not a lot that they could probably do to him. My Ritch Auntie perspective, this is just me, because I'm thinking about from us, over the years of us being friends, we had opportunities to make millions or to find ways to, make things happen and continue to touch with the right people that are able to help to make sure things happen. Then I don't think I would want to, if you, got in a position, I'm not trying to, want to deal with you, fool with you too much and say too much on you, because you know too much on me. We got years of
history. Exactly. I know a lot about you, what your family's done, what you've done.
That I've helped you out, you helped me out, things. And I think that's kind of where Donald Trump is. Is it right? No, it's not right at all. But again, it goes back to the United States of America and what I was saying about being awakened to what's going on in this world. Wake up, people.
Wake
up.
up.
Because things are happening up under our nose and we're not aware of it. And Tony, my homeboy Tony Strong, he always sending me stuff to
Tony sends me stuff
awareness.
too. It's true. A lot of stuff. Thank you, Tony.
Yeah,
because a lot of stuff you're not aware of what's going on. I'm not a TV person, so I don't watch the news. So a lot of my news I get from Instagram and Facebook.
I'm not
so
a TV person either.
I don't watch
One
TV.
of us got to start watching the news.
I know, because it's like I don't want to watch it. It's depressing.
Tell me. Yeah,
it's very depressing. I don't want to watch that. I don't want to see that a little boy was found in an alligator's mouth. Like at the end of the day, that's not nothing I want to read about.
And I was looking at today too. What is it? The Fuji? Is it with Lauryn Hill? What's the
Fuji?
The Fuji. Yeah, one of the guys. Did you hear about that case? One of the guys, Cross, I think his name. One of the Fujis. They said that he had gotten in trouble with it's a Chinese man that started. They said he funded the movie. What is that movie? on Wall Street, the
Wolf of
Wall Street. He funded that movie. Well, anyway, this guy that was with the Fugees, some kind of way got a connection with him, and now he's in trouble with China because they said he had been, funding. The man said they went to a club one night. How he met him? They were at a club one night. The guy that funded the movie spent like millions. Because he paid for everybody in the club's drink and the club across the street. He paid for everything. And so that kind of brought Fuji guy, with Cross, I think his name, it brought it to his attention, like, hey, who is this guy? And they started some kind of way mingling with each other, and now he's kind of caught up in some kind of conspiracy. So you guys kind of look out for that and try to pay attention.
Oh, I'm going to try to pay attention to that. Well, what do you feel about the dollar? Like they just recently announced that Brazil and China are now using their own currency. So our dollar is going to be nothing.
I told you when I went to Italy, guys, they did not want our money. There were certain places that they did not want the money. And I can remember in the past of going, because, we've been traveling for a long time. Yeah. And I can remember where we would, they would want our dollar. Because our dollar would be like, now like 50 cents on their dollar. So now, United States of America, again, going back to what we're talking about, I mean,
be awake. Wake up. Something is about to happen. And it's going to shake this whole country.
Yes, definitely.
Y'all better start looking at, can I live in another country? Yeah. Because that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I have my dual citizenship for Panama. Like at the end of the day,
which they say there's a high demand for passports right now.
Yes, because we're not paying attention. If all the other countries start to take suit in what Brazil and China just did, baby, the American dollar is not going to be worth a damn thing.
You heard the guy that was on Instagram. There was a clip on the Instagram where this man said, it was in Africa, and he was saying basically we need to start paying attention to what's going on. There's some things that are going down, and where money, dollar, paper is not going to be worth anything. He was like, he said it's going to come quickly.
Yep.
So if that's the case, though, then what are we going to be using? Are we going to be, what are we going to be using? We're going to be using paper
I mean,
dollar?
This is like so stressful to me at an age where I'm a rich auntie and I want to retire. And I just feel like...
You sound like Lisa.
I am just terrified. I really am. Because at the end of the day, the United States of America was where everybody wanted to come.
I know.
And this is where people wanted to... This was the land of the free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And we're no longer going to be that. Mm-hmm. So,
and that's what the talk
we need to people pay attention. Pay attention. This COVID-19 shit is over with. It changed the world. Yes. Not only that, it's like now it's like damn near non-existent. A few people get sick here. It's not killing people
which goes back to United States of America. They came up with a virus, a vaccine for COVID, but you can't come up with nothing to cure cancer. You know what I'm saying? Which I don't believe that, because cancer has been around for a very long time. I don't understand. Because the United States...
HIV.
They have gotten us, girl, because
herpes.
That's why they
don't get me started.
Don't get me started.
How do you not... You can... COVID-19 within 6 months. Y'all had a whole motherfucking... remedy for that shit. And it's non-damn near existent right now. I'm not gonna say there's people still getting COVID, but they're not dying.
Yeah.
So
it's the fact that you did it.
You know why? You wanna know why?
Happened.
Because that money is involved in cancer. People are paying lots of money to survive. Breast cancer, colon cancer, stomach cancer, brain cancer.
And it's all because of the food that we're eating, guys. It's the food that we're eating. Start paying attention to what you're eating. The perfect example was, with my mom the other day. I was telling my mom, I was like, Mom, why don't you start trying to juice a little bit? She's like, no, I can't do. The first thing she said, I can't do that. My doctor said, what does your body say?
Not God.
Exactly. What does your body say?
Treating them like they
and then
are.
we started talking about, Mom, you remember back in the day, we used to go to these people's house to get healing remedies. They had that they would cook, they would construe some stuff. They'll mix it up, and it was stuff from herbs, natural things that we would need, and would bring us back.
Do you know what we used growing up for every damn thing? I'm going to say what we called it in Spanish, y'all. Mentolato. Y'all want to know what mentolato is?
What?
Vicks Vapor Rub. My mama put that shit on everything. What? Your joint hurt? Put some Vicks on it. Your ear hurt? you melt it down, put a cotton ball, put it in your ear. Like, what happened to that?
Yes.
I'm gonna tell you, a lot of people, and I hate to say this, especially older people, look at their doctors as God. They are not God.
No.
A lot of them, I'm gonna say our doctor is an older doctor because we go to the same doctor, and he does a lot of reading out of his medical book. He doesn't know the answers to everything, but one thing that I appreciate about him is his transparency.
Yes.
And he's like, oh, let me check what that
He sure
means.
will.
And he'll go into his medical
will.
diction. And now he old
Sure
school.
will.
How old do you think Dr. Boyd is?
He has to be in his
70 something?
Yeah, close to late
Okay, Dr.
60s,
Boyd,
early
I love
70s.
Dr. Boyd because Dr. Boyd gonna pull out
Dr.
his
Britt
medical.
Boyd and apparatus.
He's gonna pull out his shit and be like, let me see what this symptom is. Old school.
Yes.
Stop thinking that these doctors give a goddamn about you. They do not. It's money.
Some of them do.
No,
though.
Trina,
Some
they're
of them.
bedside
There's some
manners.
caring
Come on.
doctors. I know. I've heard that
It's
bedside
about
manners
money.
were
Let me
bad.
tell you something.
I've heard that. I try to.
Let me tell you something.
Think positive.
It's about the medicine, the pharmaceutical companies come in there. Guess what they do when they come to the hospital? They have a whole little conference. They come in there. The pharmaceutical company comes in there with their new drugs. They feed the whole staff. You are in the conference room. Everybody's eating for free. Come on. I know.
I know too. That's true.
That's what happens. You know why? Because they get big dollars to give their patients
That medicine.
that medicine.
Based on
Okay.
what you have said that was
That's wrong
bothering
with
you,
you.
along with about maybe 10,000 people or
Now, I'm
100,000
not
people
saying
in
that
the
they're
world.
not that they're out here misdiagnosing you to get your money, whatever. Because there's really people out here sick.
Right. And some of the things, because research, that's where research and scientific and all that stuff comes from. I get all
You
of
got
that. I'm not
answers
just
at your
disputing any
finger.
of
Now, I'm
that.
not saying Google everything because Google ain't always right. But at the end of the day, I'm gonna tell you, Zaul has he had something where he had a lymph node that was swollen. You know, because we had to get it removed, and they thought it was Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay, and come to find out, that doctor, his doctor said, I don't even know what this is. It's so rare what he has that she had to look it up in the medical dictionary because she was like, "Remember, Trina? Do you remember
Yeah,
when Zaul went through that?"
yeah, it was-
So it's like, if the doctor can look up and Google,
Thank you.
baby, so can you.
Yes.
And you need to go in there. When you go into the doctor's office, that's for anything. I mean, you got to go in there and say, you know what, this hurts, but this is what I'm feeling. Don't let them diagnose you. You diagnose your damn self and you go in there and tell them what you're feeling so that they're aware. This is your body. Take responsibility for your body and don't let, just because they have a medical degree, I'm going to tell you, I don't work with a few that didn't know shit and had bad bedside manners, okay? So therefore, do not sit here and think that they are God. They are not God.
Right. That's right.
They are not. Be your gatekeeper to your health.
Amen.
You are the gatekeeper.
Amen.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's your health is your wealth.
Yes. Yes.
And it's very important.
Yes.
And
even
so is
with
your finances.
Correct.
And we're going to talk about
Exactly.
Y'all, we
Into
coming
that
back to
area.
talk to you. We got a special guest here today.
Yes.
We're going to talk about some finances, some things that you can do to kind of manage your money, how to think about passive income. What are you doing as you sleep and you're making money? Like, there's a lot of ways that you can be very intuitive and make money. So we're going to come back at that, you guys. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Welcome back to the Ritch Auntie Podcast. Thank you for following, and sharing. Today, like we said, we were going to talk about some finances and how to kind of get started if you want a passive income or just some extra income, right?
Yes.
So let's talk about, today we have
You
Sean
said making
here.
money while you're in your sleep.
While you're
That's what you
sleeping.
said,
Absolutely.
That's what we want,
So
right,
let's
guys?
talk about that. Let's talk about, Sean. Sean is my son, everyone. So welcome, Sean. Welcome, Sean, to the Ritch Aunties
Thank you for
Podcast.
having me.
Thank
Yeah,
you
so
for
Sean
coming.
to me is very inspirational. It kind of keeps me on track sometimes too with my finances because I like to spend a little bit. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about, Sean, like, what got you started? Because I remember you were 21 and working and was like, I want to buy my first house. So what did you do in preparation for, getting started? What was like the first thing as someone young as yourself and saying, I want to buy properties? What's the first thing that you do?
The first thing you got to do, they say the first step to building wealth is tracking your spending. So the very first thing you need to do is get an app like Mint MINT, and start tracking your budget and budgeting what you're doing every month. Because then you'll see, oh, what happened to my paycheck? It only been a week, only been 2 weeks. Where my money go? That's going to tell you exactly what you're spending your money on every month.
So it shows like what you're using for like your household. How does Mint break it down for you to see what you're spending your money on?
So it'll talk about food, household, auto, loans. You can load all your credit cards into it. You can load all your debit cards into it. Everything will be right there for you to look at.
Okay. What about like, because I know my mom, she's like, in her 80s, in that generation, they're not with online. How safe is Mint putting your information in there?
It's very safe. And if anything happens, federally insured.
So it's federally insured.
Okay. The bank, every bank account, you should look to see if it's federally insured before you open it. So if you want to bank small, you want to bank black, make sure they're federally insured up to $750,000, $250,000, so that if you lose that money, you're going to get it back from the federal government. Right. And then a lot of credit cards, it's safe because, if you find out somebody using your credit card, they're going to go ahead, lock it down, reimburse you.
Okay. So is Mint an app or is it a bank app? Is it like you're putting money into Mint every month? Are you are you getting your check deposited into Mint?
No, it's only tracking what you're doing. You're putting your accounts in there, even your Netflix, even whatever.
Oh, everything that you have that's a debit from your banking account, you're putting in Mint for that to track it.
Right.
Yeah, so you can see where your money is going. That's what you're saying. It's going to show us where we're spending. Because we're trying to save. We're trying to build wealth, right?
So that's step one.
Yes, step one.
Step one, did y'all hear that? Is get you an app. Mint specifically.
And there are others.
That'll help you track your money. Mint. Okay, so you use Mint.
Nothing has happened. I've been using it for 9 years.
Wow.
Okay, that's good.
So do you think that being on a budget is important, Sean? Because me personally, and I have to be honest, I don't ever get on a budget, and I keep trying to be on a budget, but it's like so hard because I'm like, am I not disciplined, or am I that ADHD so bad that I just can't keep up with it? Do you think it's important to have a budget?
Well, there are a few ways you can do it. If budgeting doesn't work for you, I say pay yourself first. Every time you get paid.
That's a very good point. I've been thinking about that.
Every time you get paid, go ahead and put some money into either IRA, or go ahead and put it into your savings account, whatever's comfortable to you. But soon as you touch some money, if it's $500, go ahead and put $100, pay yourself.
That's what I was gonna say. What percentage should you take of your pay to pay yourself? What percentage of your paycheck do you think you should be paying yourself with? Because I think I pay myself too much.
Yeah. Well, I told you about the, and I don't know, Sean, I'm going to ask you, have you heard about the 50-30-20 rule? Have you heard about that?
No, can you tell me about it?
Sure. This is the 50-30-20 budget rule, and it says that of course, you can see there's a circle here. They, make a circle, and they say 50% of your spending should go towards your rent, your mortgage, which is your rent or mortgage, groceries, utilities, car payment, insurance, and tithes. They said the 30% should go to eating out, entertainment, travels, hobbies, alcohol, and 20% should go into your retirement, investment accounts, emergency funds, or debts, pay off debts. So that's something that someone told me about. That's just something that I think that I'm going to start incorporating, Sean. As Sean mentioned, I'm going to get the Mint app. I'm going to do that because I'm definitely in the process of trying to get a better control of my finances. I think that's the area that we talk about Black culture. I think that's the area that we definitely fail in because our parents never really taught us about investing and saving. It's always really keeping your money. You got to have money for a rainy day, so just keep your money. But what about investing that money so that you can have more money? We were never taught that.
So Sean, what are some ways? So you got the Mint app, and then you started going into real estate. Talk to us about that. Like, what does it take to build a real estate repertoire, or like a book of? Because you got portfolio of real estate. Because you have a pretty large portfolio for someone your age.
Young.
I'm gonna get
and
right
it's only
into
been
that.
how many years have you been doing real estate?
5 years, 6 years.
So 5 or 6 years. How did you build your portfolio of real estate?
Before I get into that, I want to comment on something Miss Katrina said about black folks and how we spend our money. Because the thing is, we 10% of the population, but our net worth is the lowest.
Yeah.
So Jewish people only make up 2% of the population, but
And
the
they're
dollar,
the highest.
the dollar circulates in the community
Yes.
for 21 days. The dollar circulates in the black community for 8 hours.
Wow. Do y'all hear this? This is what we was talking about.
Yes.
In our communities, the things that we're not.
Yes.
So we need to be spending money with each other.
Exactly.
We need to
Amen.
get back to trusting each other, because in our history we were always put against each other.
Yes.
Right.
Whether
And we
you-
still do that
Yeah,
to each
yeah,
other.
yeah. And
We'll
we-
knock each other
Ooh,
down.
I'm about to get excited. I'm just shouting, Sean, because you're right where I am right now with our
because
people and educating.
we divide each
Awakening.
other
Yeah.
by what country we from, what continent even. Like I don't
Yes.
care if you Jamaican, if you're a black Honduran, if you black, I'm trying to help you.
Right.
Yes. Period.
care.
Period.
So that's really what we need to be on. And when we
Absolutely.
see educating each other and then supporting each other's businesses. But as far as me, when I was building my businesses, the first thing I did was use first-time homebuyer programs in the city of Atlanta. See, and a lot of these programs can be layered. So right now, my lady, she's about to get $35,000 from the city of Atlanta to buy her first home
Wow.
by layering programs. That's the Invest Atlanta program and the Housing Authority program.
Now tell them what you mean when you say layering programs. What does that mean?
So layering programs is like Invest Atlanta program will give you $10,000 towards a down payment and closing costs, and then the Housing Authority will give you $25,000.
Okay.
Are y'all
That's for
listening?
first-time
Listen,
buyers?
this is
that for
first-time buyers, y'all.
First-time
Pay
home buyers.
attention. This is how you can do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
listen, guys.
And I always say the first house is the easiest because they'll basically give you a house
Right.
if your credit is right.
That's what I was gonna ask. Like, what are so for her to buy her house, like, what were the stipulations? Like, your credit got to be a certain score. How much money do you have to have in the bank, if any? And what's the stipulations for those programs like that to get started?
So she had to have a 670 credit score.
Okay.
At least a 6-7.
At least a 670, y'all. Pay attention.
And then $2,000 in her bank account.
Okay.
So
That's all you need for these
Yeah.
programs to sponsor you.
yeah, so you thinking that you got to save $15,000, $20,000 to go buy your first house? You only need $2,000
Wow.
and a 670 credit score.
And I think that's why people of color, Latinos and blacks, we don't buy houses because we think that we have to save so much money to put down. That's not the traditional way. I guess the way, that she's doing it is not the traditional way that people think. But there's ways and avenues out here to buy properties, your first property at a
Yes.
young age. I mean,
Yes.
Sean, you were 21. And the thing about you that I found remarkable was that you were looking at duplexes because you was like, I'm going to make sure that either way, whether I live in the property or not, someone's going to be paying the mortgage and it's not going to be me.
And see, I'm glad you said that because I feel like everyone's first house should be a duplex.
Definitely, I agree.
And if it's not a duplex, it should be a single family with a mother-in-law suite in the back that you can rent out. That should be everybody's starter home.
Because
Why
it
do you
pays
say
your
that,
mortgage.
Sean? Because that reason? Because it pays your mortgage.
It pays your mortgage, and if it don't cover the whole mortgage, at least it pay half the mortgage.
Amen.
At least it pay part of it. And then when you're ready to move on from that situation, the unit that you were living in and the mother-in-law suite is going to pay that dream house.
Right.
That's why you got to do it
Absolutely.
that way.
Because we
Absolutely.
still have to be, when we're making money, we still have to be on our budget. We still have to be within our means. We still have to be living. And I heard this guy say that he was a China. He was from China, I guess, because he was an Oriental looking guy. But he was just saying that even when he was making money, he lived with his roommates. He had roommates and his friends. He said even when he was making money, I still lived with my roommates to continue to acquire wealth. So I got to the place where I wanted
Sean
to be.
did that too for a while.
Yep.
Staying within your means.
Yep.
The very first house I bought was in Bankhead. And this was before Bankhead, before they built the West Side Reservoir Park and Bankhead started to be gentrified.
Right.
So that house I bought for $138,000 in 2016. Yeah. And the thing about it, that house had 8 bedrooms. And I was just learning about real estate at that point, but something told me you gotta trust your gut. I said, this house got 8 bedrooms. It's worth more than $138,000.
Yeah.
It had intrinsic value.
Yeah.
So I'm like, 8 bedrooms. I can rent each bedroom for $200,
Yeah.
$400, $500. And then, so what I did was I rented the bottom unit of the duplex separately. And then the unit that I lived in, my 4 bedrooms, I rented the other 3 bedrooms and lived in one.
Yeah.
And I was able to save the money for the next house. Because the first house, like I said, that's the easy one.
Yeah.
The second one, you're going to have to save $40,000.
Yeah.
$50,000 for a
So
down
is
payment.
it because you don't qualify for the programs that you initially qualified for?
Exactly. That's
because
for
now
first
you
time.
own
That makes
property.
sense.
Yeah,
That
it
makes
makes a
sense.
lot of sense.
So is it hard though to acquire more than one property? I mean, what's the criteria? Do you have to have a certain credit amount? Do you have to have a certain money? Because I know when you try to get a house, they said your debt to ratio, all this stuff
That's
matters. So
income, yeah,
how do
that
you
makes
continue
sense.
to accumulate homes?
I'm so glad you asked that, because that's where duplexes help you out also. Because as a single family home, that would be a detriment to you when you go to get your second house. A duplex, they look at it like income. Because you show them, hey, my mortgage is $800, but I rent unit A for $1,200.
Right.
And I rent these 3 rooms for $500 each.
Yeah.
Now, instead of being at an $800 deficit, if you had a single family home, the bank is looking at you like, oh, you making, what is
Right.
that?
13, 14, a lot of money.
1900 a month.
Right.
So it's actually adding to your W-2 income. So
Yeah.
you show them, I work here 9 to 5. I got this property. I make this much money off of, and it takes 2 years before then they can recognize that that income as rental income.
So you got to be definitely. What was the stipulation of that too? When you had the duplex, I think you had to live in it for a year
Yeah.
before you can move on to the next property. So that's something you need to consider too as you're getting financed. That there's certain criteria that you have to abide by to be able to.
That's if you want to invest. If you're doing
That's if you're wanting to
investment
invest
properties.
and continue to build
you have to
your
stay
real
in it
estate
for a year.
repertoire. Yeah.
Yes, you have to live in it for a year, and then with a lot of these first-time home buyer programs, they require that you own it for a set amount of time.
Yeah.
Whether that be 5 years or 10 years, they just don't want you to go in there, get that property, and then skip town. They want
Yeah.
you to like live in it for a year and then own it for a set amount of time.
Yeah.
That's the only stipulations, and it's well worth it.
Yeah.
Not bad. What
Yeah.
about taxes now? Because now, you know, of course, we have Uncle Sam, so we're in a higher tax bracket. So how do you work that?
So there are a lot of deductions you can get from owning real estate, whether it be the interest that you pay on your loans, whether it's the interest you pay on your mortgage insurance, whether it's your lawn care, you can write that off. If you hire a property manager, you can write that off as a business
Black
expense.
and brown people, white folks have been doing this for forever, and here we are. I know, because I used to make, you make a lot of money and then you're not getting nothing back, and you're owing and you're owing and you're owing. But what you're not realizing that when you start to own real estate, you can write a lot of stuff off. When you have a business, you can write a lot of stuff off. So go out there, get you an EIN number. I don't care if you're consulting somebody.
Yes,
I don't care
totally
what you're
agree.
doing.
I totally agree.
People, get an EIN number.
Yes.
Create yourself a business
Yes, I
that
just
you
spoke to somebody on
can
that
write
this
things
week.
off
I
at the
totally
end of the
agree.
year. That's what I had to learn from Sean. I had to learn that from my tax guy. Like, you, at the end of when you hit a certain tax bracket, you got to find ways to be able to write
get
things off.
deductions. That's so true.
Yeah, because if not, white people have been doing this for a long time. We just don't have the knowledge.
That's a fact. And America was built for the business owner. The business owner is the person that gets rich in America, and they stand on the shoulders of everyone who works for them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And because they're making more money, and they're not even paying as much in
Right.
taxes as their own employees are.
Absolutely.
Because a wage as an employee is taxed around 30%. As far as real estate and business, when I own a house for more than a year and I sell it, those capital gains are only taxed at 10%.
Right.
And the same thing with the stock market. If I buy stock and I own it for a year, when I do sell it, that's only taxed at 10%.
Right.
But the people working under me, they getting taxed at 30%.
Right.
Because America is not built for the average man to
Right.
get ahead.
The average
Amen.
worker.
Because that's what.
Man, we making other companies rich. We're not making
Yes.
ourselves rich. We
Yes.
really have to think about that long term. You got to think about long term, and we always talk about generational wealth and us creating the Gonzalez family, the Smith family, creating generational wealth and being able to live. I don't have any grandkids yet, But I'm just saying for us to be able to create
Right.
and continue to build
Right.
and continue to gain. Because a lot of times working for someone else, you think, I'm going to go to college. Our generation, go to college, get a degree, and you work for someone else. When my kids got to the age where they were like, we don't want to go to college. That's not my dream. That's not my goal. But my goal is to be a millionaire and to make money. And this is the way I'm going to do it. I remember Sean, always been a reader. Sean, I remember you reading a whole bunch of books to kind of prepare you for this real estate game that you got into. Tell me about some books that you read or some books that you used to even propel you forward.
First book I want to talk about, just because we were talking about that Bankhead duplex that I bought, it's called Emerging Markets by David Lindahl. See, I read that book, and in that book, he's talking about you have to be aware of what's going on in your community and what the government is planning for your city. And by doing that, that allows you to position yourself to win. See, that book, using that book, it changed my mindset to where I started looking at, okay, what is Atlanta about to do that I can buy a house next to that
Whatever they're about to do.
yeah, that project.
Right.
And then get money. And that's what happened with the
It's
Bankhead
funny because when
duplex.
Sean first bought his house on Bankhead, I was like, I don't know, Sean. It's kind of shady over here. These houses look like they're about to fall apart. But now when you ride through the neighborhood,
They
it's
did
like
that regentrification.
regentrification, man. Like people are coming in there, they're rebuilding the community, even around there. Like there are different clubs and different business establishments that are growing in that area. And those are the things, even when I was shopping around, that's what made me make my decision. Sean did the research and was like, if you buy in this area, they're building like an airport city in like 10 years.
Right.
Your value is going to triple.
That is
my
so
value
true.
has doubled
I
since I've been
totally agree.
here.
That is so true, Delcy, because taking, I have a townhouse in Alpharetta that I bought in 2004. I paid like $100 and maybe $34,000 for that townhouse then. And now they built the Avalon down the street from me.
Yeah.
And that townhouse has like almost tripled
Girl,
in value.
That's,
See,
do you
that's
know how
how you
much
do it.
equity you
And
have
I
in it?
never thought in a million years did I ever think that townhouse was going. And I had so many times I had thought about when Obama got in office and,
Right.
and the economy did the recession and everything was crazy. My townhouse was like just kept going up because when I got it on the arm, which stay away from an arm.
Yeah. Oh,
I got it on the
no.
arm,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
my
yeah.
townhouse that kept going up. The interest kept going, and then I was like, Lord, I remember praying like, Lord, if this is your will for me to have this townhouse, then provide me the means to take care of it and pay for it. If it's not, let me get rid of it. And I never got rid of it, but I never knew that
Yeah.
that townhouse was going to appreciate in value the way that it has.
I'm telling you,
So
you'd be
that is so
surprised.
true.
Real estate,
That is so
if
true.
you don't do anything else, buy a real estate property.
Yes.
I don't care if you don't live in it. Just buy it.
Yes.
Because any type of real estate, even if you do event planning, buy the building. Forget renting the building. Buy the building if you
Yes.
can. Those are the things that you have to think about when you're
Yes.
trying to build wealth and
Yes.
build more financial stability.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Because even I know Sean, I learned a lot from Sean because I'm the type that, I like to spend a little bit of money. And he always keeps me on my P's and Q's. Mom, do you
I
really
know.
need that?
You
Like he
always
makes
say
me
that, too.
think about it. Like,
Sean is gonna tell me.
yeah,
Mom.
he'll be like, Mom, do you really need that? Aren't you trying to retire like in 5 years? And those are the things that we don't think about.
Yes, that's so true.
Retirement and being ready, you know what I'm saying, for
Yes.
retirement.
But Sean wasn't, because, okay, let me tell you a little story about Sean, first of all. Now, this young man who sits to my right, incredibly handsome young man, but has a woman. He's a good man, too. Good man. This young man came to Atlanta with his mom, I think, in what
2012,
was it?
we moved
2012, and came to Atlanta. And at the time, we all were staying together. We all was living in this like what?
It was like
7-bedroom
seven
house.
bedroom.
Yeah.
Trina had the big old
And,
mansion,
yeah.
y'all. Y'all ain't know that Trina had the mansion over there.
So we all was
Ritch
staying
Aunties.
together.
Rich aunties, that she the real rich auntie, y'all. But go ahead.
But Sean came down. Him and his brothers, they came down here. Delcy was a single mom, and he was just trying to figure life out. Everybody was trying to figure life out at that
Sean
time.
was like 19, right, Sean? 19?
Yeah, 18, 19.
18, 19.
Yeah, and I mean, Sean, they came, him and his brothers, they came down here, and from that point up until this point, I mean, just to see Sean, how he has flourished from even a little boy, because I can remember when he was a little boy, walking around with the blanket, with his thumb in his mouth, and carrying that blanket, always quiet, very humble young man, and he was that way then, he's that way now. But to see where he is, people, I'm telling you, young people, you guys can start right where you are. You know, like I have this, I was telling Delcy, I'm always taking notes, but there was a guy, he was saying that there's 7 things you can start doing when you're in your 20s. And one of the things he said was that you live beyond your means. The second thing was, he said, start acquiring assets. He said, figure out how to make money while you sleep.
Right.
He said the third thing is normalizing saying no without weeding it out to having to explain yourself. Normalizing saying no to people. The fourth thing was, he said, don't play safe in your 20s. Invest. You know, find areas that you can invest. He said, just, you know, don't play it safe, because those are the years you got a little time. Hopefully,
that's why they say scared money don't make no money.
There you go.
Got to.
There you go. The fifth thing he said was, stop wasting your time, money, and energy to impress friends and romantic partners you're not going to marry.
So, do y'all know what that means?
Stop flexing.
Stop flexing. Stop buying the cars.
Yeah.
If you buying a damn Maserati and you living in an apartment, that don't make no damn sense. If you don't own a house, I mean, come on, you spending $2,000 on a handbag. And I'm not gonna say I haven't done it, because I have. But you know, now with maturity, I know better. You do better. Absolutely.
You can either look rich and be broke, or look broke and be rich.
Absolutely, Sean. I'm gonna tell you, Sean. Sean can. And I don't mean to talk about your car, Sean, but this is a great example of this young man not being like his father and I, because I like cars. His father like luxury cars. We like nice stuff. But one thing I could say that he didn't get stuck. Sean has been driving the same car for how long, Sean? Y'all pay attention. How long has it been? Since 2017?
Yeah,
16,
it's been a long time. It's paid off, and I'm not gonna go get. Even though I could.
Yeah, he can afford it, guys. He can afford a $1,000, $1,500 payment, but don't.
I'm not worried about that.
But that's like Warren Buffett. They say that Warren Buffett is still living in the same house that he bought like years ago, like in the 80s or something. They say he's still living in the same house.
Still driving a regular car. And I'll tell you this, when I drive around Atlanta and I see the big houses and the mansions, it's a Subaru out front.
Yeah.
It's a Hyundai.
Absolutely. And guess what?
But then when I drive around the apartments, Range Rover, you know.
Which financially, does it make sense?
Come on.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, so the last two things were, he said heal your scars before you have children, so that they don't suffer from the same scars.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the last thing he said was, always practice gratitude daily.
Be grateful.
Always practice gratitude.
Be grateful
daily.
where you are, what you have. Time. It takes time to build greatness.
Yeah.
Because I've seen Sean, it's been a 10-year span. Sean, how old are you now? Not to put you on
31.
the spot. 31. So it's been 10 years since you bought your first property, right?
Not quite.
Not quite, but almost there. And I remember him coming to me and saying, Mom, I'm going to need to come live with you for a minute so I can save $20,000 to buy my house. And of course, I was like, I have my own life, but I was like, okay, if that's what you need to do.
And he did it too.
And he did it.
Focused, and he did it.
And he did it.
And that's what people in other communities do. Like I admire these communities. I'm not talking bad about them, because I want to replicate what they did. See, I see the Indian community. What they'll do is they'll come over from India. There'll be 12 of them living in one house, and they all bought that house together. And what's next? They save up some more money. Buy the next person a house. Buy the next person a house. And that's how you end up with Koreatown.
Amen.
With Chinatown.
There you go.
But why don't we got little Africa, the little Caribbean, little Panama? We don't got none of that.
None of that. Because we don't, as a community, we don't support one another. Like you said, financially. And a lot of times, I'll just be very honest, like going to, even trying to support like a black business. We talked about this, Trina, and sometimes the service isn't good. You try to give them your money. y'all don't treat us like a white person will come in there and you will treat them much better than the same person that has the same skin tone as you.
Yeah, we got
like
stop
I don't
that.
get that. Like cater to your people.
Amen.
Because like we can build communities.
We can.
We can create our own communities and not let no one in.
We created civilization.
Yes.
Exactly.
In Africa,
Yes.
we taught the Europeans how to bathe.
Come on.
We started all of this.
See,
Yes.
see, I said that.
You
I
said that in the beginning.
I said that when we went, just got back from Italy. Okay, and so they took us to the Vatican, where all the pictures that Michelangelo painted, and I said, "There's black faces up there." I see black faces, because we had a tour guide, and I'm like, "There's black faces up there." I see black faces. She's like, "Oh yeah, there was all type of people back then." And so Robert and I, we looking at each other, we like, "Okay, well then what did we do
Why
as
the
black
history
people?"
don't say the
I'm
black
sure
people?
I'm sure blacks had something to do back in the European days, before Christ days. We were there.
Yeah.
We had a lot to do with all of that. And
Exactly.
see, the thing is, black people in other parts of the world know this, but we don't know our own history.
Yes.
And you
Absolutely.
need to empower yourself and learn your history, because then you'll love yourself and you'll love your brother.
Yeah.
Amen.
And that's how we
Absolutely.
build our communities, by
Amen.
loving each other. And you gotta love yourself first.
Yeah.
And know your history and have pride about who you are. Because once
Absolutely.
you know who you are and you come from kings, you won't let nobody take your crown.
Won't let
Yeah,
anybody take your
absolutely.
crown.
That is so true.
Yes, Sean.
That is
Look
so
at Sean.
true.
Sean
Sean
getting
be
a little,
serious.
Sean getting a little indigenous.
But it's true.
Yes,
it
I
is
totally
so true.
agree.
We
And
do
he's
not.
passionate.
We
Yes.
do not. We do not take care of our people.
We do not. We
We
do not
don't take-
educate.
we
each
don't
other.
educate each other.
The culture. We don't know our culture. And like I said, going over to Italy, it was such an awakening for me, because it's just like what Sean said. They were saying, the lady was saying, we went to so many different cities while we were there, and she was saying that the big cities where people go, they like if you're from some small cities like Prosciutto or Capri, or we went into Verti. Those are small towns. She said those places like that. The people that are born there or that become, educated or want more, they go to places like Florence and Venice, places like that, because there you make more money doing the same job that you're doing over there. But she
Right.
said what happens though, the people that are left in the towns, they work together. Like
Yeah.
what Sean just said, they work together. Wherever they're lacking, then they come together and form something that's going to build that community,
Right.
so that they can all have it, get to the next level
Absolutely.
together. Not this person and this family is ahead.
And then
this
we looking
family over
at
here
we
is still
got more than
behind.
what you have.
Right. We're all working together so that we all can come up together. And then like Sean said, then we reach, because we have a generation that's following us.
Absolutely.
So it's not like you're going to just continue to go and build for yourself. You're building for the next generation that are coming.
Absolutely.
Because each time that generation is going to come with more wisdom and more wiser. Like the case in point, what we were saying, I was telling them about a little clip that I saw with a young man. He was a little girl. She was asking what can her generation do versus our generation to make them be a better generation. And basically he was saying the younger generation needs to listen to the older generation. The older generation needs to listen to the younger generation, because when you listen to the older people, listen to the younger people, the older people become knowledgeable of what's going on
Absolutely.
now. And when the younger people listen to the older people, they gain wisdom on
Right.
what has been and what's
Lessons,
still going
life
on.
lessons.
And he said that's each other pulling each other, teaching each other.
Right.
He said which is culture, because now you're learning from each
Right.
other. So you now know back in the day we don't have to go out here and eat McDonald's. We don't have to go out here and eat.
No, why not
this
go to
food.
the little
We could
African
go over
restaurant right here, or
and
the
plant a
Jamaican
garden.
restaurant,
Because
yeah.
our grandparents back in the day, that's
Yeah.
what they did.
Yeah.
Let's teach about how to go and till the soil, and
Right.
put some seed in the ground, so that you can continue to eat healthy, so you can
Yeah.
continue to eat fresh foods. We're not there. We've gotten away from that.
Because we have to have land to be able to do that too.
That's-
You know what I'm
see,
saying?
I love
Houses.
that you used Miss Katrina used the word culture, because we are not capitalizing off our culture.
At all.
And Black American culture has become the culture of Earth.
Amen.
And whether it be the label owners who get paid off of every rapper, the NBA owners who get paid off of LeBron James and them, or we talking about NFL owners who get paid off our talent, we need to get paid from our own talent, even down to the nail shops, where I want to see sisters doing each other's nails,
Yeah.
instead of having other people from the community own the nail shops, the gas stations in our
We'll go to the
community.
damn Asian nail spot before you'll go to homegirl that's doing your nails. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Ownership.
And I'm gonna tell y'all, I drive 30 minutes to Decatur to go get my nails done with my girl. You know what I'm saying? She's Black owned, works out her home, got her own thing going on. Like, support your community. This is what's gonna, like you said, generate money within our own community.
And that made me think she need to go ahead and look up some grants for minority business owners, because there's no reason why she can't have a storefront.
Hey, me and her talked about that. I was like, listen, I wouldn't mind opening a storefront. Come on, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? Me and her talked about that because I was like, you got the talent.
Right.
It's so
And the
many
Bible
young
said
girls.
your
We
gift
done
is
brought,
made
we
room for
done
you.
showcased a couple young girls on. There are so many girls out here doing lashes,
Yes.
facials, estheticians. Like
Yes.
every woman that I come, especially you in Atlanta, Georgia, y'all.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Right. And another thing I want to speak on is, as a community, we're too worried about being the person in front of the camera, when it's the person behind the camera who own the label, who own the team, who own that.
Absolutely.
They the one who really got the money.
Yeah.
And fame don't bring nothing but problems. Go ahead, own something and let somebody else be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's true.
And if you are in front of the camera, own what you're doing, like the Ritch Aunties do.
Yeah, we trying
Amen.
to. We trying to
Amen.
own what we doing.
On what you're doing. Like,
Yeah,
as we
absolutely.
mentioned, we're flying the plane while we're building it. But we're doing something. You know what I'm saying? And you just never know. As we're educating you guys, we're educating ourselves too. Because
yeah.
we have to go and actually research, stuff and talk about what's going on in the now. From our perspective, again,
Of
we're talking
course.
only from our Ritch Auntie
Yes.
perspective. But again, we want people to be educated, the young people to be educated on culture things for blacks as a people. Go back in the day, for healing, health and remedies and stuff. We used to have cod liver oil that we would go back in the day and we would come out with the chicken pops or different things that we would have, the hives, or if we came out with that thrash on your tongue, we would have to go over to such and such house and they would mix something up and then they would spit it in this cup and then they would put it on your tongue and you have to wear this little brown paper
never
sack
did that,
up
but
under
that's
your,
what?
yes, these are things.
You from Alabama? That's an Alabama thing. That's an Alabama
But
thing.
all these things are what. And I was looking at a clip the other day. This lady held up those little, those little porcupine things. It's little sticky things that be on the ground that fall off the trees. She was saying that those things have something in them that's supposed to be like a healing ailment for us as a people. And that's what I'm saying. If we could just go back to, that's where our history comes from.
Let me tell you something. Because
Survival.
you know survival. You know so much about remedies that help with different diseases and how to lower your blood pressure and how to do this and how to
touching into nature because we've been slaves.
Yeah,
we had to go back out into nature. We went inside the house to get the doctor to come to see us. We had to mix up some stuff, get some legs and feed.
And even in
trees.
these third world countries, do y'all really think in third world countries that they can really afford medication?
I know.
No, natural remedies is what's helping them.
Yes.
I come from a third world country.
Yes.
Like I said, my mother's favorite medicine for everything, boo-boo for everything.
Mentolato.
Thank you,
Yes,
Sean.
Sean said she said
Mentolato.
that.
I know my kids know what mentolato is. It's Vicks Vapor Rub. Like for everything. She thought that just was the remedy for everything. Oh, your joints hurt? Okay, we're going to use mentolato. Like seriously, at the end of the day, we have to get back to our roots.
Yes.
And that's a fact. And speaking of roots and speaking of slavery, there were black people here before the Europeans. We built the pyramids. You think we can't build a boat? There are black people who were already here, like the Geechee Gullah in South Carolina.
Yes.
So what we need to know is that a lot of the indigenous tribes were also black folks.
Yeah.
And some of the indigenous tribes were black people. And the reason why they don't want us to know that is because then we will demand reparations, just like our other native brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
So know your history. Know yourself.
Yes. Absolutely,
so
Sean. I agree.
They want us to think that we were all slaves. And then when we get that in our mind, we
the mentality
subconsciously
that
think
carries
that's
us.
all we can be.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, this is your land. And all the black people from America who think that, I don't know where I was before this. Like, I'm Panamanian. I know where I was before this. But that don't matter. This is your country. Just like people who are from Jamaica were from Africa also. But they come here and they represent Jamaica. Represent the USA and know that this is your country and take your piece of the pie.
Right.
Amen. I totally
Absolutely,
agree, Sean.
Sean,
And the
that
only
is
way
so
that's
true.
going to happen is like Sean did. You have to start with reading, researching, getting out here and finding out what your city has to offer for you
Right.
as a human being of the United States of America.
Because you're paying taxes to your city.
What rights
you're
you
paying
have.
taxes
Exactly.
on everything.
Exactly.
Know what your city has to offer
Yes,
to you.
yes.
That's the key
Yes,
right there is
yes.
knowing what the city has to offer you
And go get your
as a
piece of
resident.
pie.
Get you a piece of the
Sean
pie,
said,
like
go
Sean
get your
said.
piece of pie.
Exactly. And know what they
Exactly.
offer you. Like,
Exactly.
know before you purchase a house and you're moving into that city, what are they offering you as a citizen of that community? What can you get from them? You know what I'm saying? That was important. I didn't know that
And
when I was
every
buying
city-
my first house.
Every city has a program, every county, every state, and even federally, there's a first-time home buyer program. So it's available to everyone.
Yes, and we're gonna drop some of the names. We're gonna name drop some of the programs that are out there in the city of Atlanta that you can use as a first-time home buyer in Atlanta. All you need is what credit score? 670. $2,000 in your bank account. Of course, good credit. Pay those debts down that you have before you start making a move towards home ownership. Like Sean said, important that I never thought about when he told me to buy a duplex. I was like, I don't want to buy no duplex. That's too small. Start small. Stop trying to start big. At the end of the day, we start trying to get the dream home before you have the stepping stones. Step first and then
Get
go
the
to that
stepping
dream
stones.
home. Buy that 10 acres of land if you want it. But you got to start somewhere. And I think as people of color, we're always trying to start at the top. Start from the bottom and work your way up.
We want the quick fix. We want the shortcut, especially
shortcut
my
to
generation.
everything.
We the microwave generation.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like we want everything quick. We want to go ahead and just drop a song and get 1 million.
It doesn't work that way.
Sales,
Not for
and then you
everybody.
rich.
Everybody ain't a TI. Ain't
listen.
nobody.
Right.
Everybody ain't the
Right.
the established rapper.
Yeah.
You got the
Yes.
lyrical knowledge. Listen, start. Don't be afraid to start from the bottom. Start with the duplex, a condo. Start with something small.
But Sean,
Stop
what
trying
if, let me ask this. I'm sorry, Dulcie. But what if you have a person, a young, maybe someone in their 20s, wanting to invest in property? What if they don't have any money? You said they can go through the programs and stuff. But what if they go through the programs and then they get the property? How do they, fund the property as far as because if you, like in your case, you've gotten properties where you've actually had to build from the ground up. You've gone in but if it's a first time home and they get a duplex and there's some work that has to be done, do they give you enough money that you can go in and fund that house?
So Invest Atlanta also has a program for a house that needs to be renovated. It's a renovation first-time home buyer program.
So young people that are in their 20s right now, someone was in their 20s and they maybe had like $2,000 in the bank. They can go, and if their credit score is at 670, they can go and apply for these programs. Now, is there like that's all they need to have? There's nothing. Is there like a waiting list? Do you have to find a house? Do you have to go and get pre-qualified for a certain amount of house before you do all of this? You got to do all those steps too, right?
You have to do that as well. You have to get a pre-qualification letter. You got to do a first-time home buyer program seminar, learn what you're getting into.
Oh.
But the Invest Atlanta program will make sure you're doing all of these things
Right.
before they
all
give you
the
the
tools
money.
and resources. That's why we're gonna name drop that because they
And
got so many
that's
tools and
good.
resources that people
Yeah, that's
aren't
good.
aware are out there.
And that's why there's nothing wrong with getting a 9 to 5. You're not gonna be the boss at first unless you just got the.
Absolutely. Say it again, Sean. You ain't gonna be the boss at first. Y'all get a 9 to 5 because that
Yeah.
shows work history.
Exactly.
And you have to have work history.
2 years of
to
W-2s.
At least to buy a property.
What if you're an entrepreneur and you don't have a W-2? You work for yourself. You just use your
The 1099s. You better be
1099s,
using them 1099s to
As
show
well.
that you've been making money.
And I also want to speak on a home equity line of credit because I used a home equity line of credit to buy one of my properties. And see, Miss Katrina was talking about how much equity she has in that townhome. So she can tap that equity, that $200,000 in equity, which and then get that from the bank and go buy another property.
Yeah.
Or two. Put a down payment on
Absolutely.
2 different properties. And then now you
And
got
listen,
3.
if you have a property and you live by yourself, you can Airbnb and make money, to save money, to buy another property. Like there's so many avenues. I learned a lot from Sean because when I first bought my first home, I was just thinking it's just me and Zai, and I don't want nobody in my space. But once I started not paying a mortgage, I haven't paid a mortgage in I don't know how long. I've had this house for 3 years over there for 5 years, guys. Like at the end of the day, there's so many ways to tap into making money and not having to even pay your mortgage. So think about that when you're making that move to home ownership too. Buy a house that's already split that you can do a duplex out of, and you can rent your bottom space if you don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Those are ways to save money and be more financially stable.
You gotta make sacrifices.
Yes, I agree.
It's not getting rich ain't comfortable.
No.
You gotta be uncomfortable. You gotta do what no one else is willing to do. And my mother tell you, I slept on the floor at my uncle's house when I first, was trying to transition into getting into this. I just went and stayed with her to save up some money. I rode my bike to work when my car broke down. It's not gonna be comfortable.
No.
You gotta be extraordinary.
Yeah.
You gotta do what's
that's
extra.
resiliency. That's determination. One thing I can say about Sean is always determination, resiliency. Even when things were blocking your blessings, you kept moving. How can I do this? Okay, if I gotta ride my bike to work. I'm sure he didn't want to work for nobody, but you had to do it to save the money to be able to be the homeowner. And I'm gonna tell you guys something too. You're never too old to learn new tricks when it comes to finances.
Yeah.
Amen.
You gotta be a lifelong learner. That's how you win.
Exactly, because even in your 50s, not just for the 20-year-olds, even for the 50-year-olds that are out here, I like to spend money. I like nice stuff too, but at the end of the day, you got to know what percentage, like Trina said, what percentage are you putting away? I don't believe in 401ks or none of that shit, because at the end of the day, let me spend my money and buy what I'm going to buy so I can have my passive income now. Because I'm trying to live my life lavishly right now. Because it ain't guaranteed tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? And I tell Sean that when he gets on me about finances, because I'm like, let me live in today. Because I might not be here tomorrow. Don't put off tomorrow what you can, for tomorrow,
today.
what you can do today.
That's right.
Right.
I'm a big believer in that, because my mom told me that on her deathbed. You know what I'm saying? Enjoy the moment.
Yes.
Enjoy life
Yes.
right now in this moment.
Yes.
Don't wait till tomorrow to enjoy
That's what
life.
my uncle was too, Larry.
Yes.
Like that.
And Larry always
He
enjoyed
always said
life,
that,
didn't he?
Yeah. He said, I'm going to live my life till I die.
Till I die.
I'm gonna live my life till I
Exactly.
die.
So don't be
worry about
afraid,
me,
but
I'm
at
happy.
least preparation, and like Sean said, preparation and learning. You're never too old to learn about money, finances, passive income. Go out. There's so many people out there on Instagram that are showing you how to make money, where to invest your money, how to move your assets, your current assets into a business.
Yes.
Once again, like I said, you're never too old to learn new tricks. Get you somebody in your corner that knows finances, that knows, like Sean is my financial guru. So get you a financial person. You're not going to know everything. Having a finance person that knows things, that can teach you things, that's very important. A financial planner.
Yeah, I'm still learning too.
Yeah, we're all learning. Get you a financial planner. We don't invest money in financial planners, but let me tell you something. White folks is investing money in their financial planning.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah, that's a fact.
As black culture, as people of color, we need to invest our money in financial planners to help us get to the next step. So always remember that. I want to thank Sean for coming on to the Ritch Auntie Podcast.
Thanks
you,
for sharing
all the financial knowledge.
Yes,
we appreciate
thank you.
that. We're going to name drop the different programs available in the city of Atlanta. Do your research and see what's being offered in your city if you don't live in Atlanta.
Right.
So just think about that. And you don't have to buy a property of where you're at. You can buy one in a different city.
Yes.
Go to Nashville, go to Memphis, go to different cities and buy and invest in those communities as well. As long as it's a black or brown community, go out there and make sure that you're doing that. Once again, thank you, the Ritch Auntie Podcast. Like, follow, and share. And subscribe on YouTube, Spotify. We're on our iHeartRadio and soon to come to Apple Music. Thank you and have a great day, guys.
Happy Sunday, guys.
Thank you for having me.